Okay, so when a Western business decides to jump into the Chinese market, they almost always make one massive assumption. And look, it's an understandable one, but it's an assumption that can cost them millions. So let's dive in and really unpack what's going on here, because the reality is way more complex and honestly, way more interesting. And it really all boils down to this one question. I mean, you've heard it a million times, right? Oh, Baidu is just the Google of China. It's such a simple, neat little comparison. But is it actually true, or is it a really dangerous oversimplification? All right, let's just get straight to it. Here's the hard truth. Thinking of Baidu as just a Google clone, that's probably the single biggest strategic mistake a Western brand can make. Seriously, it's a direct path to wasting your budget, missing out on huge opportunities, and just fundamentally not getting the Chinese consumer. So take a look at this. Yeah, Baidu is the biggest piece of the pie, no doubt, holding somewhere around, 60% of the search market. But the real story, the thing you have to pay attention to, is that other 40%. See, in the West, Google is basically a monopoly. It's the only game in town. But in China, it's a totally different world. And that fragmented part of the ecosystem, that's exactly where most Western brands trip up. So if everybody isn't just on Baidu, where are they going? Where are they searching? Well, the answer is that what we call user intent, the why behind someone's search, it's spread out all over the place. It's scattered across this whole ecosystem of super specialized platforms that mix social media, e-commerce, and discovery in a way that, frankly, we just don't have in the West. Okay, so let's put a number on that big slice again. Baidu's got about 60% of the market. And hey, that's a huge share. You can't ignore it. But, and this is the important part, it's what's happening in the rest of the market that is just so fascinating. Now, get ready for this next number, because it's a big one, 600 million. And no, that's not Baidu. That's the number of searches happening every single day on just one other platform, Xiaohongshu. You might see it called XHS. Just let that sink in for a second. They call it the decision engine for a reason. This is where people go to figure out what to buy. It's like a fire hose of people ready to spend money, and it's almost half of Baidu's entire search volume. Insane, right? And then, of course, you have the absolute giant in the room, WeChat. We're talking 1.2 billion users. Its search function is totally different, though. It all happens inside this closed-loop super app. So you're not really using it to discover new things out in the wild. No, this is for connecting with brands you're already familiar with, making a purchase, and building that all-important loyalty. It is the critical hub for customer retention. So, what's the big deal? What actually happens when you ignore all this? Well, it's not just that you're missing an opportunity. It's literally a recipe for failure. If you only focus on Baidu, it's like you're fighting for attention in just one small corner of the arena, while your competitors, they're playing to the entire stadium. And this really gets to the heart of it all. The simplest way to think about it is like this. Baidu gives you credibility. It's your official face. But platforms like Xiaohongshu, they give you authenticity. You can have the most perfect, polished, official brand page on Baidu, but the second a savvy Chinese consumer sees it, what do you think they do? They immediately go look for social proof. They want to know what real people like them, are saying. And if you don't have that real-world authenticity, your official credibility is, well, it's pretty much worthless. This leads us to a really crucial concept, one that a lot of Western brands completely miss. It's called private domain traffic. The easiest way to picture it is it's your owned audience. See, if you're just throwing money at Baidu ads, that's public traffic. You're basically renting customers. You're paying over and over again. But by guiding them into your WeChat ecosystem, you own that relationship. You can talk to them directly. This absolutely slashes your long-term marketing costs and builds incredible customer value. Okay, I know this sounds complicated. So how on earth do you actually navigate this world? The solution isn't to just ditch Baidu altogether. No. The key is to integrate it into a smart 3-pillar strategy, a strategy that actually covers the entire modern Chinese customer journey. Let's break down the first pillar, Baidu. Its main job is awareness. Think of it as your big official digital front door. Your strategy here is really threefold. First, you've got your standard technical SEO and paid search. Second, you absolutely have to use Baidu's own content platform, Baizhihao, because that's how you get your content seen fast. And third, you want to invest in what's called a brand zone. That's basically premium ad space that lets you totally dominate the search results for your own brand name. All right, on to pillar number 2, Xiaohongshu. The goal here is completely different. It's all about consideration. This is where you build that deep, authentic trust. And the strategy reflects that. It's not about slick brand messaging. It's about getting real user reviews. You're going to want to focus on long-tail keywords. The super specific questions people type in right before they're about to buy. And the way you do this is by working with what are called key opinion consumers, or KOCs.
So what in the world are KOCs? It's actually really simple. These aren't your typical mega influencers with millions of followers. Nope. These are real, everyday customers. Their reviews feel authentic, they're not super polished, and because of that, they're seen as way, way more trustworthy. Getting these voices talking about you on Xiaohongshu is the absolute secret sauce to building genuine trust in China.
And that brings us to our final pillar, WeChat. As you can probably guess, its goal is all about conversion and loyalty. This is where you seal the deal and turn a curious browser into a loyal fan. The strategy here involves making sure your brand and your content are searchable inside WeChat itself, optimizing your mini program, which is basically your own little store right inside the app, and using a brand zone to make it dead simple for people to find you and buy from you directly. Now, you might be sitting there thinking, okay, can't I just pick one of these and get really good at it? And I get that, but you'd be missing the entire point. The real magic, the real power, comes from making all three of these pillars work together like a well-oiled machine. So let's just quickly walk through how a real customer journey looks, because it's not a straight line. It usually kicks off with awareness on Baidu. Someone hears about a product and does a quick search. But then they immediately jump over to consideration. They go to Xiaohongshu to see what real people are saying, to look at real pictures. Once they're convinced, it's time for conversion. They'll often go to WeChat, find the brand's official account or mini program, and make the purchase right there. Your strategy has to be there seamlessly at every single one of those steps. And listen, the payoff for getting this integrated approach right is massive. You get full funnel coverage, so you're not losing people along the way. Your conversion rates and your ROI go way up because you've built both official credibility and authentic trust. You're speaking the cultural language. And what's really amazing is you actually lower your customer acquisition costs while building a loyal base of customers with a super high lifetime value. I mean, at the end of the day, this is how you win in China. So I just want to leave you with this one thought. This isn't just about learning a few new platforms or some new marketing tactics. This is about a fundamental shift in your thinking. Yeah, the tech is important, but understanding the cultural nuances of trust, community, and how people actually buy things in China, that's what separates the brands that truly thrive from the ones that just, tread water. So the real question is, which one are you going to be?